Welcome back, Knuckleheads. I am Lupine Fiasco, and this is Daily FaB Gameplay. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed, that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now, compared to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either reinforce good play patterns or identify areas for improvement for the purpose of tightening and improving our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like the upcoming Skirmish and ProQuest season, and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you'd like to check out the list I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord and the shiny cardboard Talishar card back. At higher tiers, your name will appear in every DFG video, and you could receive bonus DFG content every week. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. I also now am on X, and if you would like to see memes, inane comments, and the occasional self-promotion, head on over to X and follow Lupine Fiasco. Now, without further ado, let's talk about our sideboard and about our game plan. Against Zen, we are going to bring in Go Again and Disruption. We have lost the die roll. Unfortunately, we will be going first. We would prefer to go second. If we could, that would let us block out on turn one. If you've watched my better to go first or second video from last week, you know that going second in the aggro mirror does put you ahead in the race, as your opponent does not get free blocks on turn 0 like you do. So we are at a bit of a disadvantage. Fortunately, as Kayo, we do have the ability to generate additional resources on turn 0, either through playing our draw discard effects to make might, or discarding windups to make multiple mights, or hopefully agility. We are looking to disrupt Zen as best we can with Amnesia, the Weakest Link, Command and Conquer, and Send Packing. We really want to keep Zen off of full hands, whether that be 4 cards and an arsenal, or 4 cards, an arsenal, a tiger, and a chi generated through Zen's equipment. And we are looking to pair that with Go Again. If we are just blocking 6 and attacking for 6, that is not going to be enough to stop Zen. He might be able to block, maybe chip some damage in, all while he looks for an Art of War, Ancestral Harmony, or a Hone to draw cards. Whatever he needs to convert a very large hand to 30 to 50 damage, and once he finds that hand, he's going to cash out his equipment, prevent the disruptive effect, and then crack back and kill us. So what we are trying to do is whittle him down with Wild Ride that he isn't going to block into a Command and Conquer that he has to, or pulping into Amnesia, bait him into taking damage from our Go Again attacks, and then punish him for having taken that damage by forcing him to block Disruption, and maybe he would have wanted to block differently had he known that he wasn't going to get to keep a full hand. That's the plan anyway. It is a very hard matchup. Kayo is not favored into Zen. I would say at best, you're looking at a 40% win chance, and more likely it is lower than that. We really rely on Zen having a slow start. If Zen hasn't transcended by maybe turn 3, we're looking really good to win the game. But if Zen gets an early transcend and Traverse the Universe turns online, then we are going to have a hard time. We're whittling him down. We're trying to stall out the game while we find our Blood Rush Bellow, look to convert a 5-card Blood Rush with Savage Sash. If we are staying at a relatively high life total, Scowling Fleshbag does a lot of work into slowing down Zen's big pop-off turn, though you can get value out of Fleshbag even on Zen's smaller turns. You just want to be hitting a real card, not necessarily a Crouching Tiger, but usually you'll know when it's time to throw the Fleshbag. If Zen gives you Stride of Reprisal and Traverse the Universe, you're probably going to want to block with Fleshbag then and just try to slow Zen down. But it's a really tough matchup. We're going to jump into this one and see if I can pull it together. Starting out, we don't draw into the best hand, but we do at least get to make a might and put something decent into our arsenal. The line here is going to be Bear Fangs red, pitching Bear Fangs yellow, and we get to arsenal either a Wild Ride or a Swing Big. Both of those are better in arsenal than a Bear Fangs. We could maybe attack with Wild Ride and pitch Bear Fangs. Then maybe if we draw blue, we can play either the Swing Big or the Bear Fangs. But I really do value having an arsenal on turn, going into our second turn, so that I can look to put a 5-card hand together. Here we do draw and discard a blue, which is nice. It does let us arsenal a Wild Ride, which enables a 5-card hand on our next turn and leaves us with a 3-block in hand. As far as Zen's blocks, we catch him with the all-blue hand. This would have been a really solid hand for us to be going second into, because it means that Zen is not pushing a ton of damage. We get value out of being able to block. Albeit fairly poorly, 3 of the cards in our hand are non-blocks, but even if we aren't blocking anything, Zen isn't getting that value from a handful of blues. And now, because we had to filter, our hand was not good enough to keep and just arsenal pass, Zen has 100 Winds and a Descendant Gustwave in his graveyard. So all in all, not a great start for us, but it could certainly be worse. The hand we draw into is pretty good. We do get to Wild Ride from arsenal, pitching our blue. Hopefully we're going to find another blue that is going to let us claw Command and Conquer. Zen has the natural Gustwave Bonds line, but it's threatening 8 damage. Descendant for 1, Bonds for 4, 100 Winds for 3. We aren't going to block any of that. I don't mind early armor blocks against Zen if I just wanted to get my value. Zen, unlike Katsu, is not a ninja where we really want to save armor. Zen just doesn't have that many on-hits. His biggest ones being Tiger Swipe or Mauling Chi. Mauling Chi kind of matters a bit. If the combo is on, then it will always deal an extra point of damage if it hits. But not every Zen is on Mauling Chi. You can always put them on being on Tiger Swipe, but Tiger Swipe's on hit is usually not good. Unless Zen has played Sacred Art or Art of War, the Tigers will not have attack power. So a lot of the time, you don't need to block Tiger Swipe. And as you play more Zen games, you'll see Zen attacks for 4 a lot of the time. Tiger Swipe with combo attacks for 4. Chase the Tail attacks for 4. Bonds of Ancestry red attacks for 4. So if you are holding your 2-block armor with the intention of blocking for 5, you're losing value compared to having just put Savage Sash in front of 100 Winds to get value from the Savage Sash block, or blocking with Scabskin Leathers to just have blocked 2 to make sure you're getting your armor value. So while I don't think this is the turn to start blocking with armor, if I did block with Savage Sash or Scabskin Leathers here, I wouldn't call that a mistake. That is just making sure I get my value while I can. Now that all being said, I don't think we need to block here. We go to 32 after taking this 100 Winds damage, and we are fully expecting Zen to arsenal this last card. So we open with Wild Ride, as you would expect. Luckily, we do draw into a blue. We even get to keep our second Wild Ride. This is the perfect hand for us. Wild Ride for 7, which then is likely to take. Mandible Claw for 3, which then is likely to take, and then Command and Conquer. So we have pushed 10 points of damage on Zen, and then we're going to force him to block. Or maybe he keeps 4 cards, but in that case, we are at least keeping him off of a 5th card. So we do get the blocks out of Zen. Zen lucky enough to have multiple 3 blocks in hand. It's bad news for us, but at the same time, we did reduce his hand size, and that's really what we were looking to do. Got 100 wins for 0. Zen does have the Transcend on turn 2. Really bad news for us. He's going to get to cheat a resource with the Kasaya, make a Tiger in hand, play Descendant Gustwave. If he's fetching Gustwave, it means that he has Bonds of Ancestry, either in hand or in arsenal. That isn't true. It's definitely in his arsenal. We know his hand is Crouching Tiger. Looking at his graveyard, we're seeing that really his only option here is Flusterfist. So we know that we're taking 4 from the Bonds and then 4 from Flusterfist. If we're thinking about our hand, then we know that we have a blue to pitch for our Wild Ride in arsenal. Hopefully we hit the 25% to discard our Beast Within. But even if we don't hit that 25%, we have a Send Packing and a Command and Conquer, and we can absolutely play one of them. So we know that we're going to Wild Ride Disruption, which makes me want to keep all of these cards. If we did block with a Beast Within, we are now potentially putting ourselves into a position where we cannot disrupt Zen. If we pitch our blue, play Wild Ride, discard our Command and Conquer, and then keep a different red, we don't have the resources to play Send Packing. We could have broken Sash at some point, but all of this is telling me that we are not blocking from hand this turn. I do want to start cashing in armor. If we just take 8 damage here, we go down to 20. Zen has Transcended, still has his Traverse and his Stride. A 5-card hand Zen that turns into a 7-card hand Zen is very easy for him to kill us from 20, even with all of our armor. So I want to start cashing that armor in. I don't think it needs to be Bonebreaker here, but I do want to block with Sash, and I do want to block with Leathers, just to make sure that I have gotten my block value. And if I did block with Bonebreaker here, I'm not upset by that either. We miss out on potential might, but we would at least be getting that 2 points of value. And if Zen goes mega wide on our next turn, we may find that we missed that 1 point of block value from the back half of Bonebreaker. Something I do want to talk about here is the potential to have made a might from the Bonebreaker. We would have been blocking inefficiently because we would have been putting 5 points of block value in front of a 4-power attack, but there is a lot of value in having a second might when your hand can disrupt. If our hand can disrupt, that means that our CNC attacks for 8, and Zen can't cover 8 with all of his armor. So what we could have thought about doing was blocking with Beast Within Bonebreaker and probably Send Packing, maybe CNC, either one, it doesn't matter. We block for 8 overall, we make a second might, and then we get to Send Packing or CNC for 8. The thing is, I don't think that's good enough. Where Zen has Transcended, we aren't really trying to buy time necessarily. We kind of are, but Zen is at 29. He's still too high for us to reliably 5-card Blood Rush him. And as I said, if we don't have this Beast Within, there is a very decent chance that we just don't get to play a Send Packing as a follow-up to Wild Ride. Also, we don't get to play Wild Ride because Wild Ride would eat our mites. So we put ourselves into this weird position if we do block here where we're just Send Packing for 8, and that's kind of it. And I really don't think that's good enough. I did just want to talk about the value of having 2 mites compared to 1 against Zen specifically, but this is not the turn where I'm really looking at that. We are just going to play the wild ride. We're not looking at breaking Sash here because we don't need to. We know that even on a bad draw discard, we are going to be able to disrupt. And this was a bad draw discard. We still get to Mandible Claw Send Packing, but if we had discarded the Send Packing instead of the CNC, we would get an arsenal out of this hand. Not that Beast Within is a good arsenal, but it is an arsenal, and I am not thrilled to have Beast Within an arsenal, but I'm not embarrassed by it. We do Send Packing for 6. We snipe Zen's Tiger. Zen not going to commit the full armor suite, but does pick up a Chi. This may be a situation where I'm looking to Flesh Bag. We're going to see what Zen does. The hand that we draw into is pretty good. This would be a situation where I might think about breaking Savage Sash, but here we have Orahone of Mystic Tenants is going to draw Zen up to 5 cards with 2 floating resources. Great. Cool. So this is a situation where Zen is just a much better player than we are, and hit 2 red combo cards off of 2 Ancestral Harmonies. And that's, at a certain point, I give the good game. You can see I'm thinking about conceding, because sometimes you are just so outskilled by your opponent that, there is no point playing the game. But listen, the only way we get better is by playing against better opponents. So we are going to stick it out. $100 wins for 5. We have seen Zen commit the Chi to Orahone, which means that we don't know what either of the 2 cards in Zen's hand are. Is this a good Flesh Bag considering that? We know that we are potentially taking 5, 10, 15 damage total just from this 100 wins and the 2 cards that Zen flipped off of Ancestral Harmony. We also know that we are looking at potential 2 from Zephyr Needle, and then whatever these other 2 cards in Zen's hand are. I don't like the Flesh Bag here. I think it's justified. I understand why I'm making the play, but at the same time, Zen has not made a Tiger. There is nothing about Zen's hand that I know of that makes me think that the Flesh Bag is going to do any more to Zen than just prevent 2 damage. If Zen was going to play the Gust Wave, play the Aspect, and play one of these 2 cards anyway, fully intending to arsenal the other, then Flesh Bag here isn't getting additional value. It is just being 2 block. And because Zen has Zephyr Needles, he can always just pitch a red into a needle. If we Flesh Bagged away 100 wins and Zen had a Command and Conquer in hand, for example, then we are not meaningfully interacting with him. We are just getting 2 points of block. So I don't like using it here. I would have preferred to wait until the next turn. We're taking a ton of damage this turn either way, but I think our Flesh Bag could have gotten more value later. I like this block. We are getting our full value out of a 3-block and Bone Breaker. We are also making another Might for our Amnesia, which will now attack for 8. Potentially, we catch Zen with a handful of 2 blocks, which means that he would need to commit multiple cards from hand plus armor into blocking the Amnesia for 8. I also don't know that we are in a position in this game anymore where we feel good about playing Wild Ride, discarding Beast Within, hoping that we draw into a blue so that we can play Amnesia. It just feels very risky considering how much damage we're taking this turn. So I like this play. I like setting up the Amnesia for 8 and getting to arsenal a red Wild Ride, assuming that we don't just die. Zen plays the Crouching Tiger for 0, comes in with Chase the Tail, without knowing what the card from Banish was. Potentially Fleshbag did get additional value, but we won't know until our next turn. We do know that Zen was able to use all of his resources and able to play out every card in his hand/arsenal. So potentially Fleshbag got additional value. If this was another 0-cost combo card, then we denied Zen 2 points of damage from 2 Ancestral Harmonies, but still, we did not really trip Zen up. What you're looking for with the Fleshbag is to give the opposing hero an intellect penalty because they just couldn't play their cards, but that wasn't the case here, so I'm pretty skeptical of that Fleshbag. 2 Ancestral Harmonies, both being 0-cost 6s, is pretty good. Pretty good for our opposing Zen. We will just Amnesia for 8, hoping to catch Zen with non-blocks and 2 blocks, but it was not meant to be. Zen can just cash in that fridge, cover the Amnesia, and even make a Tiger for his trouble. We're going to arsenal the Wild Ride and just pray that we both aren't dead and draw a hand that can get us out of this situation. So far does not seem to be the case. Art of War banishing Crouching Tiger is quite the play. Spinning Wheel Kick for 5 is damage that we are going to take for now. Currently looking at an effective 12 points of life with our Bone Breaker and Scabskin Leathers. I don't necessarily mind blocking with a Command and Conquer here, though I would really like to save it. Zen finds another blue for the second Zephyr Needle with additional follow-up. We have a Mauling Chi from hand, which is going to be enough for me to pack it in. We absolutely could survive this. We can block the Mauling Chi with CNC and Assault and Battery. The thing with that is our follow-up line is break Savage Sash, play red Pulping by pitching yellow Pulping, then play Wild Ride from Arsenal. We threaten 12 points of damage by making a Might. Zen gets to keep a 5-card hand, and we're at 1 life. This game is not winnable from this point. And I also don't know that this game was ever winnable. We threatened 17 points. We got 17 points of value per turn compared to Zen's 19.75. I wanted to show you this game, not because I think I misplayed I guess I did want to just confirm that I didn't misplay, that there was nothing I could have done, that I could play this game 100 times and I would lose it every time. Sometimes you do just get outlucked by your opponent. Ancestral Harmonies were both worth 6 points of value for 0 cost and 1 card. There is a decent chance that Zen plays both of those and they both miss, at which point they were 0 for 2s. Even less than that, because Chase the Tail doesn't necessarily even have Go Again. We don't need to break the Fleshbag. We can save it. This game could have gone either way. This was a variance loss. We got out-varianced by our opponent. Zen transcended on turn 2. Zen found the Orahone to use the Traverse. Our disruption was never enough to slow Zen down. And 2 Ancestral Harmonies, both flipping red combo cards, is absolutely backbreaking. We could have potentially ended this turn after getting hit by Mauling Chi for 6 at 5. We could have saved 8 to 10 points of damage on Zen's Ancestral turn and been able to break sash, play wild ride, play pulping, attack with mandible claw, CNC, and now we're actually winning the game. This matchup is not unwinnable, but is very bad, and I wanted to show you this game because there is a perception at times that I just post games that I won, or that my losing games were very winnable, and I'm just trying to make myself look better. There are games that I just lose, and there was nothing I could have done, and this is absolutely a game where there was no way for me to win this game based on variance. So, buck up, I guess. Keep your chin up as Kayo players, that sometimes you are just going to lose games to Zen, and there was nothing you could have done about it. We certainly could have played better. I think the flesh bag would have been better on this turn than the last turn. I unhelpfully did not hover over Zen's arsenal to know what it was, but this was not a good game. I hope you enjoyed it, though, or learned something. If so, be sure to take that like button to Pound Town. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you have not already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It is free, it helps me out. I have a Patreon, I have a Twitter, those links are in the video description below. And until the next time I see you on Daily FaB Gameplay, take care.